When it comes to EVE Online, every player wants to know the most effective tactic available. You want to know the meta. The meta controls everything. It determines what will and will not happen. Knowing the meta will alter your views, make you question your reality. It might even make you laugh. And now, you're part of it. You're watching The Meta Show.
Ladies and gentlemen, today, January the 21st, 2023, our first Meta Show of 2023, the first Meta Show of Season 4, and the first Meta Show with a new co-host since 2019.
Hello,
Hi.
goons. Hello, I'm back. I know
How
you've all
is
missed me so
everybody?
much. I hope everybody's doing well.
So as you guys may have noticed, I've been hyping this up for about 2 weeks now. We have a new co-host on the show. As you all recall, Matani, after a legendary career, stepped down in July of 2022, and I flew solo for the next 6 months.
Tragic.
Some of you complained about that. You said, Brisc, you can't handle the show by yourself. They said, Brisc, you take too much time off because you have to do the show by yourself. You need a co-host. And so we started having guest hosts and having people coming around and doing the show. And we had a bunch of different folks on. We had Ithaca Hawk. He got picked up by CCP. We had Mark. We had other CSM members. We had Merkel Chen, our boy from Rampage. We had other folks all over the cross New Eden. But I'll tell you something. One man shone out like a beacon to me.
One man responded to the message.
One man showed up on time every time, never screwed me over, never made me freak out that he wasn't going to show up, and talks as much as I do, including in the CSM meetings, by the way. And it was Mark Resurrectus. So, Mark.
Hello.
Welcome to the show. Congratulations.
Hello. Thank you. Thank you, Brisc. I appreciate this. A very warm welcome, very warm intro. It's such a pleasure to be here again, as always. It has been my dream. All these many long days since you asked me to be on the show, to be in this seat. And you know, it really is a dream come true. I've been telling people about it, you know, ever since I was a little boy. When little Mark Resurrectus first took his baby steps out into New Eden, he thought, man, it would be very cool to be the second wormhole CSM to sell out to the initiative. And my God, here we are.
Number two. 2.5 if you count me, but it's okay.
That's true. But no, in all seriousness, it's a pleasure. I'm so happy to be here. You know, I'm hoping we can bring a little bit extra juice, a little bit of zhuzh to our proceedings. We have a ton to talk about over the last couple of weeks. You know, and I'm ready, man. I'm here. I'm in it. I'm down to clown. Let's dive in. Let's do the thing.
We're gonna do it. We're gonna do the thing. So, all right. So we got a couple things today. We got a bunch of. Listen, we've been gone for a month, and just to clarify, this is the longest we have ever gone on hiatus, I think, in the history of the show. This show started in 2015. I don't think we've ever taken a month off before, and it was not of our choosing. All right. We had Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve both happen on Saturdays. Then we were going to roll Mark out the first week of January, but he had a work conflict. And then last week was the DC Eve meet, which was a hell of a lot of fun. And thank you very much to my dearly lovely Mrs. Brisc, who put on the party for everybody. We had about 100 or so Eve nerds show up in our nation's capital. We took it by storm. There were no riots, though. No one was shot. We had a good time. And that ran all through Saturday, so we couldn't do the show last week. So we had to wait till this week. So it was just bad confluence of timing that made us take this long of a break. I promise you, people, we're not going to take this long of a break again. All right. It's not going to happen. Now, next week, We're going to do our best to do the show
Speaking
from
of
the
which,
CSM Summit in Iceland.
from the hotel
In fact,
lobby.
I should be asked. You know what we should do, Mark?
What's that?
We should ask the CCP guys to let us do it from their studios.
That would be very cool. It would be a lot easier than just sitting up in the Exeter lobby with a donut. It'd be a little bit more professional than that. I think
I think that's what's going to. I mean, we should definitely do that. All right, that's our goal this week is to bully CCP Swift and CCP Loki into letting us use their stuff next Saturday for the show. Anyway, so let's get going. We've had a month of Eve news. We've had news from CCP. We had a producer's letter that included a roadmap for the rest of the year. We had issues with China this week that I think are upsetting everybody. And in the biggest news, we actually have a war going on in Nullsec. So that's going to be our top story. Let's hit it right now, and we're going to go into the dumpster fire that is the southeast of New Eden right now.
You know, it's funny, Brisc, that you talk about the southeast of New Eden right now. Oh, you've got a graphic for this.
Yeah, we got the Chiron. It's okay, but it's all right.
Hell yeah, look at that.
Well, why is your head so low? Where does your head go?
Hello.
The tiny little Mark head. Let's get you up here. All right, go ahead.
Sliding. No, you're good. So we were the good people in my very small wormhole alliance. We took a fleet out last night and ended up in the southeast for a while. And I got to tell you, dead as hell, Brisc. Nothing going on out there.
That bad, huh?
It's pretty bad. A lot of unanchoring structures and a lot of empty space. So if you could have convinced me that there were actually no small coalitions of alliances out there. No, I didn't see anything. I'm not convinced there's a war happening.
You know, to be bluntly honest, I'm not convinced there's a war happening either, but we're going to go into a lot of detail on this because I want to walk you guys through it. We have not had a major war in Eve since the end of the last war. It has been kind of crazy in regards to what's been going on in this whole cycle. And I wanted to walk this through for everybody that's trying to pay attention. And all they see is the RE subreddit getting shit up with really, really bad propaganda. Horrible. And I think Frank may be over here later today to talk about it. But how did this war start? Why has it started? What's going on? Who are the fighters? Who's involved? What's the reasoning behind it? And what do we think is going to happen? So let me start here. This whole thing started, I think, a couple years ago, right after the end of the Great War, or Vietnam, or however you want to call it. Fire Coalition kind of coalesced. This was a group that basically grabbed in a bunch of different organizations from around the southeast of New Eden. They were led by Legion of Exdeath, by Constantin Surovej, Constantin the severely brain damaged, who took over. And for the next 6 or 7 months, there were some minor fighting. They were Pappy adjacent, a Pappy adjacent group, and they had been fighting and messing around and trying to take over a bunch of regions in the southeast. And it went and formed against them, fought them for a while, glassed a bunch of regions, pushed them back, and then left. And then we went back and did it again, and Junes joined us, and we did that for a while, and then Horde got in on it, and then we all decided we were tired of the war, and it was right around July when Asher took over Goons, and he's never been enamored of this whole region of space or the whole idea of fighting fire. So Goons went home, Imperium went home. We had been fighting for pretty much 6 months at that point, and then at the end, it was just kind of like, okay, we're bored. We're done. So what happened? All the regions that were glassed got picked up again by fire. Now, here is where the genesis of the new war starts. So Gobbins put a ping out explaining all of the different things that had happened from basically the middle of the last war to the end of the last war to the start of this war as to why he feels like it's necessary to go to war against FI.RE. So he starts off this in July of 22. Horde FCs that had been deployed to that region to help back up FI.RE. They were already completely fed up with FI.RE's handling of things. And in addition, he says, Constantine, who's the leader of FI.RE, promised some SRP dreadholes to Johnny, never delivered. Severance FCs, and I'm assuming this is Arcadia's soul speaking, calling Securitas a pussy when he wouldn't rush to bail them out. General lack of coordination, lack of infrastructure, and a lack of willingness to commit their supers. Mark, what does this sound like to you? This sounds pretty common.
Yeah, so here's what I'm going to tell you. A lot of this sounds like you shouldn't shit where you sleep, right? Like it very much feels like, FI.RE for the longest time has been, they and listen, I'm sure there are plenty of fine people inside the FI.RE coalition. I have not met any myself, but I'm sure they exist. Statistically speaking, that feels like it makes sense. But at the same time, I mean, you do get the sense that there's a lot of decisions being made by leadership that by either maybe not necessarily the hands that feed, but the hands that are adjacent to the hands that feed. And that's a recipe for getting your shit rocked. And so much of this it is very telling to me that FI.RE's messaging coming straight out the gate was not, oh, you think you can touch us? You think you can touch FI.RE coalition? This powerhouse of the Southeast? You think you can approach me, sir? It was immediately like, oh, please, no, please, we're just a coalition of small alliances. Please. Don't, no, please.
Don't mess with the small fry.
No, the small folk, no. Here's the thing. I don't know about the logistics of how much room a nullsec alliance requires. We're
going to get to that.
We're going to get to that.
Go ahead.
Which is good. My group lives in a single wormhole. Plenty of other groups, much larger than mine, all live in single wormholes with farms here and there. But we take up, relatively small amounts of space, and we're efficient with it. Goons live in Delve, in it is up in your zone, up in Fountain, and one region apiece feels like, and with a ton of people in that space. It's a lot of people in that space. It just seems like they're just not being real efficient with the use of the Southeast is where I'm coming from. And maybe I'm wrong. Like I said, I'm not an expert.
No, you are not wrong, and we're going to get into that because I'm going to show you the numbers, because this is the first argument that these guys made is bullshit. So I'm going to continue the narrative here.
Please, go ahead.
Gobbins comes in and he starts trying to figure out how he's going to stop Goons and Init from glassing the rest of FI.RE space, and this was in July before the war stopped. So he ends up, because he gets so much pushback from his own coordinators inside Horde, he has to go back and say, I have to scrap the idea of deploying, and he reaches out to Goons and Init with his hat in his hand, asking what they would consider for ceasefire conditions. But as you guys know, if you were watching the Meta Show back then, and if you had listened to any of the things we had been saying, Constantine had been such a dick to Shines. Sweaty Shines, and Shines this and Shines that, and Shines never going to get any more sleep, and all this other kind of crap, to the point that Shines and the rest of the guys in Init, and I am one of them, were like, we are absolutely not going to just let you guys get out of this. Fuck you. You've been assholes to us. So in the immortal words of Mittens, eat my ass. We're not going to do this. Okay. Yeah. So essentially, Gobbins was told there's nothing you guys can give us. We're going to glass them. So he has to go back to the drawing board. So then what ends up happening is Horde deploys a week later, and it says, all right, we've exhausted ourselves. We've gotten as far as we can go where we are right now without having to redeploy everything. That's a giant pain in the ass. We're far away from our supply lines, and Goons don't want to be here anymore. Asher had just taken over, so he starts walking away. So the war ends. Now Horde declares victory. I don't really think it's a victory. We did what we set out to do. We punished FI.RE for being dicks to the folks in Ketch, which was originally what we were trying to do. So then August rolls around, September rolls around, and Shines is still talking to Gobbins. And I had talked to Gobbins about this as well. And this was a thing, I think, with a lot of the autocrats. I am not one of those, but I am autocrat adjacent. So I talked to a lot of these folks. And one of the biggest issues that I said for the state of the game back in the summertime was there's nothing going on. We need to do something. There has to be a way for some of these groups to start flourishing, because the big guys are just sitting there doing nothing, and the little guys are getting pushed out because they don't have any space. So Shines had proposed setting up Faithabolous for unaffiliated alliances that are trying to get started. And Gobbins thought that was a good idea. Everyone was willing to give it a shot, including initially Constantine, according to Gobbins. And then so Constantine spends 2 weeks acting like he's sort of okay with this happening. And then once we decided to leave, he changes his tune and says he needs the region to fit all of his people. He has 8 other regions. And then he claimed he needed the region for content versus Red Menace Coalition. And lastly, he just plain refused to let Faith be neutral. Now, I want to talk a little bit about this whole, he needs the region to fit all his people. Okay.
Yeah.
And Mark brought this up before.
Yeah.
Here are the numbers. All right. FI.RE has 8 full regions, if you include Faithabolous, and a chunk of cache, which also has NC Dot and some other folks. That is the kind of the buffer region. All right. So there are 9 regions worth of space for FI.RE. They are, in terms of like raw territory, I think Legion of Exdeath, which is the goons of, they are as goons are to the Imperium, Legion of Exdeath is to FI.RE. They're the biggest member of that group. Mm-hmm. They're like the 4th largest Sov holding alliance in the game, which is nuts. So there are 20 some groups in FI.RE. If you add up all of their members, they have slightly more than 23,000 characters in this alliance. Now, this is not people. This is characters, okay? It's characters. So just keep that in mind. Not every one of these characters is being played by, a person all the time. So theoretically, usually it's about, I think the way we usually goes is for the big null set groups, everybody's got at least 2 alts. So you can instantly have this number and talk about real people. It's probably closer to a third of it is actually real people. But so let's say, for the sake of argument, 23,000. There it is right there. 23,123 is the total. So they have Deterid, Faithabolous, Immensea, Innsmother, Omith, Scalding Pass, Teneriffus, Wicked Creek, and those 9 systems in cache. That is 675 discrete systems that are controlled by FI.RE Co. If you take that out and you do an average, take 675 systems, you divide that, you take 23,000 members, you divide that by the systems, you get a per capita. They have 34 characters per system. Now, Brisc, is that a lot or is that small? What do you think, Mark? Is that a lot or is that a small number?
I mean, listen, this very much feels like an electoral situation, right? Where you've got these huge swaths of land occupied by just a handful of people, and the understanding there is that this is worth just as much as systems in Delve and Fountain or up in Catch that are supposed to support hundreds of people per system.
Now, 34 per capita. Is it a lot? Is it not a lot? Is it a lot? Is it not a lot? It's not a lot, people. Okay, it's not a lot. Here is the reality. Number. Let's look at the other 4 biggest groups in the game that have Sov. Here we go. All right, number 1, Fraternity, Winter Coalition. They have almost 27,000 members, 246 systems controlled. They control the most space of anybody in New Eden. Their per capita, 108 characters per system. Okay. Next up, Init. I think we are the 5th largest group in the game, 110 systems controlled. Our per capita is 111. We control maybe 1 region and a chunk of another. And that's it. 111 systems. 110 systems, 111 people per system if we were to spread them all out.
Jesus.
Horde. Look at Horde. Horde. 34,865 members. They are the largest alliance in the game. They control 213 systems per capita, 164 people. And if you think that's bad, let me show you Goon Swarm. Goons. 33,613 members. They are the second largest alliance in the game. 365 people per system they control. They control less than 100 systems. 92.
I mean, it's literally 10 times as much.
10 times as many people are crowded into the Goon Swarm space as in all of FI.RE space. And they're claiming they need more systems.
I mean,
they need more systems. They can't handle not having enough systems. What the absolute fuck is this?
Yeah, I can only speak anecdotally to that, Brisc, but just based on my, like I said, cursory glance through the space last night, they got a lot of systems that are not doing a whole lot in there right now. I don't know what this need for more room is. There's a lot of empty space in the southeast right now, where there's just nothing. Nobody's crabbing, nobody's mining. Nobody's sitting on a gate. Nobody's doing anything. There's nobody in system. We probably jumped through 30. Yeah, there are 36 systems last night. We might have encountered 3 people, and then we fill them in and out. End up up in the northwest, up in Volta space, and immediately ran into people. So I don't know. I mean, I understand the time zones be what they are. I understand that, people tend to accumulate in not everybody's spreading out equally, but it does just seem like an unthinkable amount of space for not a ton of people.
And that's and no matter how bad they want to claim the TrueSec is, no matter how bad they want to claim that all of these other groups are, they have all their space and stuff like that. I see people, how much does Brave? I didn't do Brave because Brave doesn't have a lot of SOV right now. They're probably in the nuts. 300s too. I didn't do PL and NC Dot. Look, NC Dot is probably the worst in the game in terms of how many systems they control versus the number of their people. I'm betting their numbers are probably in the 20s. That is not a good look. That's not what you should be shooting for, Constantine. You cannot, there is no rational way to claim that you need this extra space, which, by the way, is not that great a space anyway. And now, listen, I know people have been complaining about Faith-Abylos. I used to live there in my pre-init days. I lost my first carrier to enter hell, by the way, in Faith-Abylos. And it was a pain in the ass to get to, but that was one of the benefits. It was a pain in the ass for people to get to it. It was a pain in the ass to get to JITA, so our markets were pretty good, folks. We would be able to use them. And if we needed to, we could always go and run up to Catch, where we were friends with Tess and the other guys when they were in there. We could have done that. There are ways around the bad jump freighter routes, and it does put a lot of emphasis on good logistics, but that's part of the game.
Yeah.
But having a system that you can stick all these people in like we do in Clown Ring, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I think it's a good idea, and I think Shines and Gobbins were being at least forward thinking, saying, hey, let's at least set up some space that's neutral that we can put these small alliances in. Right? Yes, Clown Ring is what I call Cloud Ring. It's our inside joke with them. So Clown Ring.
Speaking of Gobbins, I know that Shines is pretty tired of Constantine and his chicanery. How much does Gobbins hate Constantine though?
I mean,
really. Oh boy. Whew.
It's you go through the stuff that he said. Oh. And I mean, at the end of the day, it's literally like he made me look like an idiot in front of the rest of the game. And then he's cowering behind all of our different, groups, because we're going to come bail his ass out. He can talk as much shit as he wants and then run back to Papa Horde. Yeah, right. He's spending their goodwill. Exactly. 100%. Yeah. Exactly.
And that's it. Listen, I here's the thing I want to say too, and this is, I think, kind of important, is I actually think that this is not a bad thing in EVE. I'm glad that this kind of like I said, this kind of chicanery exists in the game. It makes it interesting. However, also, hello, Miss Brisc Rubal. It's good to see you.
She takes full credit for your being on the show, and that is not wrong.
She should.
She was your biggest advocate to me that I should pick you for this slot.
She's lovely. Thank you so much, Miss Brisc Rubal. If you want to engage in this kind of chicanery and talk shit, you must immediately be prepared to get hit. There's just, people have been talking shit in this game for as long as the game has been around, right? And at a certain point, it's not just words, right? You have to nut up and shut up about it. And at this point, Constantine and FI.RE leadership has they have sowed their fields, or they have planted their fields, and now they are reaping what they have sown. And look, again, I'm going to say this probably a ton on this show. I'm not an expert on these politics. I get all my information from Brisc Rubal tweets and
from me
and the Eve Reddit. So consider me a biased source in this field. But it really does feel like, and a lot of it goes back to the propaganda that's come out of FI.RE and this whole thing too. It really does feel like you are criticizing the people who are now coming to call on call the consequences of your actions. But you're either going to pretend like these things didn't happen, pretend like those conversations didn't happen, pretend like you didn't do what you did, or admit it and say, yeah, absolutely, like, I guess we're fighting now, and that is the way that you do it, right? It is kind of mind-boggling that the and I've said this earlier already, that the turnaround immediately was, oh, please don't hurt us, we're just little guys, as if that is an excuse to. Hell, right. Fucking plenty of people out in my region of space will talk shit, and as just was mentioned in the comments, if you talk shit in J space, chances are somebody's going to come over and knock your stuff over, and the same thing is happening right now. So, and
that's the bottom line. Like, talk shit, get hit is one of the oldest axioms in EVE Online. And Constantine was very free with his shit talking. And then he immediately turns and starts playing this whole "we were stabbed in the back" narrative, which we'll get to in a second, because I want to talk about what FI.RE's response was to what Gobbins has been saying. Now, Darkshines was much simpler in his explanation as to why Init deployed, and we didn't deploy the full alliance. We just deployed our PvP SIG, Adeptus Astartes. For all of you 40K fans, you'll get the reference. So,
fucking nerds.
This is the third time that we've declared war on FI.RE, the third time that AA has deployed against them, and two major reasons. One, we didn't like how the last campaign ran, and we have new doctrines we want to try out. And two, the whole Gobbins and Darkshine situation about Faith Abelis. But the bottom line for me, and if you had to ask me, and this is not me speaking on behalf of the initiative, not me speaking on behalf of Darkshines or anything, but if you had to ask me why I am happy that we are fighting FI.RE, it's two reasons. One, Constantine is a dick, and two, FI.RE sucks. That's it. Those are the only reasons why we're here.
Yeah,
I'm
really,
not here to make the world safer for smaller alliances. I'm here to smack this guy around because he was a real douchebag to my friend.
There's a phrase that gets thrown around a lot in wormhole space, which is, you don't really need a reason to do anything, right? People spend a lot of time going over the how and why of every single little engagement as if it somehow makes a difference. At the end of the day, if you've got stones to throw around, fucking throw around your stones, bro. Yeah. Life is short. We don't know how much longer the game's going to be around. If you're going to sit around on your hands and be like, oh, well, Constantine's a dick, but I guess we'll just sit on this and not do anything. Right. You don't have, who knows how many opportunities we're going to have going into the future. I don't. Hell, you can die tomorrow. Bitch, do it.
Yeah. Let's get some more. Let's fight some wars on. So, all right.
Absolutely, do something.
How does FI.RE respond? Okay.
Oh boy, Brisc, not well.
No, and this is the thing. So Gobbins put this ping out again, and this was on Reddit, and the biggest people were very upset because at least it seemed like Constantine was comparing himself to Stalin in his State of the Alliance. I'm less upset about the Stalin reference as I am to his Germany post World War I we were stabbed in the back narrative. which that stabbing in the back thing is bullshit. Okay. Yeah. But he's claiming that Countenance says that there was intel from Bad Dodger, who is the leader of Red Menace Coalition, and Dracarys, that Horde is getting ready to evict us. But years of cooperation after everything that transpired over this time, we simply could not believe and expected that Horde would start attacking their closest allies. You guys are not even close to Horde's closest allies. Sorry.
Bro, come on.
I mean, if you don't think that that's PL and NC Dot, I don't even know what to fucking tell you. Okay.
Okay.
I mean, just come on. And then to provide an analogy, when during World War II, Stalin was refusing to believe he was about to be attacked, that's exactly the situation I found myself in. No, it's not. Okay. The bottom line is you used up all the goodwill that you had with Horde, and they weren't going to put up with your shit anymore either. That wasn't being stabbed in the back. You guys were never allies. In fact, I recall multiple times when when Constantine and others would claim that, no, we are not part of Pappy. We were never part of Pappy during the war. We're not Pappies. We are our own people. Well, are you or are you not?
We are our own Pappies.
Exactly. We are our own Pappies. So then he sends this just nonsense out and then puts his stuff in Russian. And then the Russian that he puts out is literally the address that the Soviet Union put out when Germany attacked them at the start of their part of World War II. Just change the words around. We don't like a lot of war. I mean, this is the meta show. The boat's not on the show anymore. I use Civil War references rather than World War II references, but man,
it's a bad look, dude.
If you're comparing yourself to Stalin and using arguments that the H-man used to use, that not the best look, I'm just saying. Okay.
No, that's really bad. I mean, the bigger issue more than anything else is making the comparison in the first place, not just because of, even if you think like strategically that it makes sense because of the position you're in and because of the position that your oppressor is in, that's all whatever. Like, this is a spaceship video game. Like, it's not, that's a wild comparison to make. It'd be like calling, it'd be like if, somebody comes and knocks over a Keep Star and they're like, oh, this is our 9/11. Like, bro, no, it's not. Calm down. It has nothing to do with it. And, Stop. This is using that image, like that imagery,
get some help.
Those comparisons, like, bro, you gotta know this is not it. I mean, come on, man. But I mean, like, but the Brisc, does this surprise you? Coming out?
No, because this is how he was too. I mean, this is the thing. One of the other reasons why I can't stand the guy was back during the war. The first war when we were fighting them last year. He starts making the claim that the only reason Shines was willing to fight these guys was because of the war in Ukraine, because his Russians couldn't get on because of all the stuff that was going on. And it was like, seriously, dude, fuck you for trying to bring real life into this multiple times. That's not okay. And it wasn't true. It had nothing to do with it. We've been fighting them for months before the Russians invaded Ukraine. It was never a thing. Okay. So Constantine needs to stop. So here we have the next day, or I guess 2 days after the war started, this was Monday of this week, Constantine puts out another statement saying, 2 days have passed since Horde's betrayal. The enemy has had its first disagreements. I don't know what he's talking about because we're not working together with Horde. Okay. They're complaining about they're in war in Delve and they're in Keep Star Timer and all this kind of stuff and nothing. And then they're saying, oh, well, there was a defeat in Delve, but it has nothing to do with us and all of our assets are out and everything. But then he says this, which I think is funny. I played more in the last few days than in the last months. I'm here. I'll never leave. Fire won't disappear anywhere. If two people decide to play gods, that's their choice. We continue to play our game. The Earth and Eve are around. Everything is coming back. Okay.
Yeah. I think Stream Elements broken, by the way. Oh, no, it's not. It's fixed. We're good. It's fine.
No, it's fine. It's good. Let me.
It had to get some stuff out. It's fine.
That's it. It had to get some stuff out. All right.
Yeah, man. I mean, oh Jesus! It just makes me like, it's so cringy.
Yeah,
man.
It's really bad.
Listen. I understand you got to say things that are, you know, a little suspect to get the people rallied up. And I understand, like that's all fine and good. I don't have any issue with that. Like, hell, I've said some fucking weird stuff to get my, you know, get the blood going too, but like, I haven't published it. I don't want people seeing that shit. Like, at least if it's just on comms, it'll go away if no one records it. Like, this whole thing very much feels like it feels like a role play thing. Like, it feels like just trying to like trying to role play goddamn a fucking Soviet general, man, and it's not a good look. He's got to know
it's pretty bad.
Not it.
It's pretty bad. But that's what that's what these guys do, and it's kind of frustrating to me because I know that there are some good people in FI.RE. There are people there that that are not horribly bad people. I mean, Mossy, who we'll talk about. Actually, I'll throw it up on the screen. He's desperately running a one-man crusade to desperately try to stop
God bless him.
Poor FI.RE from looking like schmucks. Where is my thing from him? Here it is him saying FI.RE isn't who you think we are, and he's talking all about all the smaller alliances, and you know, you think we're a bunch of renters, and you think we're this, and you think we're that. We think that because it's true. Just saying.
I have never seen somebody, and I, you know, again, I don't really have a dog in this fight, so I don't want to talk too much shit, but I have never seen a group of people use the phrase living rent free in your head unironically as much as I have from FI.RE Coalition the last couple of weeks. Like, bro, come on, man. Oh, that ain't gonna do it.
It's cute. I mean, it's cute.
Not
and
good,
like,
man.
And I mean, this was what I wanted to, this was one of the things I was showing. Where the hell is it? Where did I put it? This is how everybody feels right now about all the FI.RE stuff. It's like Horde and FI.RE posting me, please stop. Everyone else is like, please stop.
Yeah.
That's kind of where we are in this whole thing. But anyway, so what has happened so far in the war? Well, let me tell you. So as of right now, the best information that we have is threefold. First of all, one, they've basically spent the last 6 days pulling back to Wicked Creek. They've almost completely abandoned Faith, Tenerifis, and Omist. They haven't been taking fights. They lost their first Keep Star earlier today, about 15 hours ago. It was uncontested. They pulled the rigs, as you can see. So they obviously were expecting this thing to die. And then they lost their second Keep Star pretty soon after that. Oops. Oh, look.
Oh, no.
No, dude, where's my Keep Star style? Mercenary Coalition sends its regards.
Yikes.
Because,
I would take that Keep Star. Just give it to me.
Anyway, so that's the end of that. And my understanding is, at least as of right now, there have been some discussions amongst the autocrats with Constantine about how this war ends. And I've been hearing a lot of rumors from people that this war may be coming to a relatively quick end, with FI.RE making an about face.
Oh, is that so?
And making the brave choice to head up north somewhere. So we'll see. We'll see what ends up happening. And maybe next week on the show, we can go into a whole bunch of detail about what's happening or what is not happening in the war. Well, but in any event,
I will say this.
That's what's going on.
To FI.RE Coalition, if you do decide you want to move, I've got a lovely C5 that I could rent to you right now, with great crabbing and plenty of great planets, and you could probably fit most of FI.RE Coalition in there. I think you get a couple farms, you'd be fine. You'd be good to go. Test out some new doctrines, give it a whirl.
In other brief news, I just want to go through this little bit of news up because I did say Brave, and that made me start thinking about Brave. We did see some big news over the last month where Brave is basically moving. They're merging in. They're creating a new coalition with Volta B2, I believe is what they're calling it, and they're moving. They're not moving. They are still keeping Pureblind, but they are taking over space in Fade. So I just wanted to highlight this because I think this is an interesting step here.
Cool.
So Jinx and the gang have put this out. As you may have heard, Brave is gaining the region of Fade, and they'll be living in the Keepstar and C4C. They're going to stay in Pureblind, but their main staging will be moved to C-Tech 4 within the next 3 months. And they're going to call themselves, what was the Greater Trash Coalition is now becoming B2, and they will control basically the northwest of the map, as far as I can tell. And I'm assuming that they're going to continue their scrapping with Fraternity and Winter Coast. So that's a little bit of an interesting
stand for.
I don't know. I assume Blob and Brave, which would make sense to me. But I should probably. I saw Jinx over the weekend at the DC meet. I probably should have asked him what B2 stood for.
If it's
Bacon Squared, is that it? Is it Bacon Squared?
Is it Bacon Squared? That's not too bad. If it was going to be Blob, Volta, and Brave, BVB would be very good. I would be down with BVB.
B2 or not B2. Definitely B Squared. I like B Squared.
B Squared is good. I like B Squared.
There you go.
Cool.
Anyway, so that's what's going on with our boys. Yeah, where is B1, right?
Yeah.
As Roman says, where's B1? So that's what's going on with our boys in Brave. Now, we got some CCP news, so we're going to go ahead and pierce the corporate veil. We're going to talk a little about CCP stuff, and then I'll see if Frank is around. So I'm going to push the button to our little cut screen, and then we're going to talk about CCP.
Let's do it. Which cutscene is this? Ooh, very nice.
Yeah. All right. So
good graphics.
We have our producer's letter from Uprising to New Conquests that they released. This was, I want to say, on January 6th of 2023, talking about a whole bunch of stuff, including they included a roadmap, if I can, at the bottom here, that of what CCP is working on. The first quarter of 2023, they are going to be rolling out what they are calling direct enlistment. What is direct enlistment, Brisc? Well, we had been calling this the Allegiance system. This is the way for people who are not in a faction warfare corporation to participate in faction warfare and join in and get points and be able to get LP and do a bunch of other stuff. And then they're also throwing in a new campaign as part of this narrative arc that they're doing on faction warfare for quarter number 1. They are doing the Lunar New Year celebration, which starts, by the way, tomorrow. Lunar New Year, the year of the rabbit. I hope all of our Chinese friends are going to be celebrating the new Lunar New Year. And we're also finally seeing, after a year, since the vaunted, very welcomed announcement at FanFest of the Eve and Excel integration, we're going to see the beta rolling out in first quarter.
Yeah, it's almost a parody, which is fun. The idea of spreadsheets literally being in space, but yeah, I mean, I think this blog, this letter was not too bad. Rattati wrote this, didn't he?
Yes, that's why I understand.
Yeah. I mean, this is going to be a really easy thing to look at and feel like this is a whole lot of nothing burger. And I feel like they intentionally do it that way. A lot of this is, much more about trying to, give people not really a heads up on the specifics, but just be like, this is the direction that we're heading in, which I understand why they do that. I understand why they are sketchy on the details. And I think the thing that most people don't really realize about CCP, I certainly did not realize about CCP as a company until I got behind the corporate veil, is how much things change between, the time when something is announced, the time, just before something releases, the time when something releases. There's consider most of CCP's projects to be these kind of nebulous, systems that take shape the closer you get towards the release, right? So CCP has in the past been criticized by me as well, just so we're all on the same page, for not being very specific in a lot of the details that they give out. I don't hate it as much as I used to, and I'm not going to sit here and slob the knob or anything. It's not, I do wish they would, spread this information out a little bit better and be a little bit more proactive about getting this information out to the community. But at the same time, like, you know, they sometimes you just don't know what it's going to look like. I mean, they have a general idea. They have some, you know, they know what they would prefer it to look like. But if they promise one thing and get something completely different, I mean, it's going to be, you know, they're going to get backlash for that, and they hate that, and I, you know, I understand it. And that being said, I still think this one did a pretty good job of giving people a taste, letting them know that there are going to be more expansions coming, which I think is great. People like the last expansion a lot, you know, and now that CCP is back on an expansion model, I think that gives people a consistent thing to look forward to every quarter, which I know was missing over the last couple of years. So it's easy to look at this and feel like this is just more CCP baiting out subs by promising things that they may or may not deliver on. I can't sit here and tell you how to live your life. You know, sometimes they pan out, sometimes they don't. You know, but I would say that the stuff that, you know, is coming, the stuff that we're looking at this year, I feel pretty strongly about it. And you know, getting this direct, what they say, direct enlistment or direct enrollment. I think direct enlistment, right?
Enlistment is what they're calling
enlistment, right? What we were calling allegiances. They're going to deliver on this. I feel pretty confident about that. And it was maybe a little bit later than we had wanted on the CSM, because we went over this over and over again, and the community as a whole have talked about it over and over again. But you know, the fact that we get it, maybe it's not, you know, as timely as we would have wanted it to. I still think CCP is, you know, at least keeping up with most of the promises they've made over the last couple of months.
And I think, you know, as we move forward into the rest of the year, we have 2 more expansions that they're talking about, one in second quarter, one in fourth quarter. We've got 20th anniversary of EVE in the second quarter, where we will have hit 20 years, 2003 to 2023. You've got FanFest in September. In the fall, you've got the Alliance Tournament. So there's stuff they got set up throughout the rest of the year. So, I mean, we're going to see some other changes. But interestingly enough, this was not the biggest news CCP put out, I think, during the month of January, even though we probably would have thought it would have been. The biggest news is we got problems in China again.
Yeah, man.
So here on the screen, I'm pulling this up. This was patch notes that went out on the 19th of January, that simplified Chinese is now a language option on TQ. And they're starting the Lunar New Year festival, which obviously is a big deal in China.
Love that.
But what did they do the day before? Well, the day before, they put this little gem in the patch notes, added access restrictions to Tranquility from mainland China. Now, I mean, listen, we understand when you're dealing with the Chinese government that it's very difficult. They are extremely strict about a lot of things. There's a reason why there is a Serenity server that NetEase runs for CCP, largely because the Chinese government does not want regular Chinese people playing with other folks from around the world, because we might taint them with our democracy. And at the end of the day, they do their best to make sure that the folks can't do that. Now, there are ways around this. NetEase sells a game booster, they call it, which is essentially just a VPN that lets you get around some of this stuff. And I think it's routed through Hong Kong, so it makes its way and lets people play the game regardless. But VPNs are illegal in China, and anytime you use one to play a video game, you're taking a risk that you're going to get in trouble. And getting in trouble can be a big deal. So the fact that they added restrictions to TQ from mainland China, when a significant number of mainland Chinese people play this game, Fraternity in particular, the group that used to be Angry Army of Mangoes, folks in Dracaris, there are a lot of folks that play in China through various means, legal and illegal, according to the Chinese law, to play on TQ. And it's like a bad thing for us to be shutting down the game for those folks, especially when we can't keep the numbers up on Tranquility as it is.
Yeah.
It's not a good thing.
No, it's not, Brisc. And honest to God, like I do feel like CCP is put in a difficult position here, and I don't
It's
know
an untenable position, to be bluntly honest. They are
very
stuck
hard
between trying to do the right thing for their players and one of the most restrictive regimes on the planet.
Yeah. My hope is that they will continue to do everything that they can to make EVE as accessible as possible to as many people as possible. It's not just, making the game more fun to play. It's not just making the game more enjoyable for the players. It's also making sure everybody has the opportunity to play the game if they want to. And they've done a lot of work over the last couple of years on accessibility. We had the Spanish localization last year, which was great. I was able to work with CCP Swift and put him in contact with some folks in my region of space to work on that localization, which was extremely, great for them. The simplified Chinese localization is awesome. And I'm glad that they're doing that work to get this kind of thing done. And it is, like everything else with CCP, the branding of this is just not stellar. The fact that it almost would have been less on the nose if they'd done it on the exact same day. If they had waited just a little bit longer to put up the restrictions, they could have had the simplified Chinese, the Lunar New Year announcement, and also the restrictions on TQ, which,
all at the same time.
All at the same time. And it's, I don't know. It is one of those things where it feels a lot like one step forward, two steps back. But right now, and again, I don't think any of us are experts on the best way the CCP should be dealing with the CCP. In this case, there's going to be a lot of speculation over the next couple of months, and a lot of speculation happening right now. I mean, everybody's got an opinion on this. I've spoken to a couple people. I spoke to just the other day. I spoke to Alaska, who was the CEO and founder of War and Wormhole. There's a pretty big Chinese group in wormhole
Very
space.
Big. Yep.
Also was the founder of Esports Petopia, who people will probably have remembered from many different tournaments over the last couple of years. And it's putting everybody in a tight spot. I mean, everybody who lives on the mainland is in a tight spot. And that is unfortunate. And I hope CCP will continue to try and do the right thing here for those players and for that community as a whole.
Yep, I agree. I mean, the bottom line is, in even 2023, I mean, like in even 2022 and 2021, we can't afford to be hemorrhaging players. No. We just can't. We're finally on an uptick, and we'll talk about that, I'm sure, in the next couple of weeks when we start seeing more of the numbers coming in for January, February. The faction warfare update seems to have done its job. We have gotten more people interested in the game. People are coming back to EVE. Whether or not this war in the southwest or southeast is really going to bring people back, I doubt. I don't think it's going to last that much longer, like I said. So the chances are that that's going to be a major drive is relatively low. The rest of these changes, depending on where they are, could have impacts, positive or negative. We don't know. But the bottom line is we can't afford to lose people just because, we decide to make it harder for them to play the game just because we're trying to comply with something that is obviously, recognized or at least honored in the breach in terms of the rules up there. Now, my understanding, at least when I talked to some of the Chinese players, was this isn't a huge deal for them. It is for some. It's not a huge deal for everybody because they're used to this. They've been getting around the rules to play EVE for a while, but at the end of the day, you don't want to be in a position where people are getting in trouble in real life and going to jail and things like that because they're trying to play a video game. And nobody should be forced to make that choice, whether they want to keep playing a game or, end up in prison. That's not okay. So let's hope that it doesn't come to that.
That being said, shout out to all the homies in mainland China who are skirting the fucking government's rules to play EVE online.
Damn, Skippy, you keep it going.
Love that. Very cool.
With you, fight the power. All right, so we're kind of at the end of that segment. We got a couple minutes left in the show. We'll probably go a little long because, it's been 4 months since you guys had a show, or 4 weeks since you guys had a show, so we might go a little bit long tonight. So would you like to meet Frank? Have you met Frank before? I think you might have met Frank once.
I have been. Listen, I've always ever skirted. We're like two ships passing in the night. Oftentimes, Frank will appear just before I come on, and then by the time I get here, he's gone. And I've never had the distinct pleasure of interacting with Mr. Frank specifically. Right. So
let me go find his ass and get him in here, because he has a lot to talk about in regards to a lot of the propaganda that we've been seeing in the war. So let me go grab Frank. We're going to do a war update with Fountain Frank, and we will be right back. Wow. I have to be honest, I didn't know you guys were still doing this show. I thought the show was canceled. Like, it's been 4 weeks and there has been no show, and nobody's asked me to do it. I'm just saying. Yeah,
Frank, I got to be honest with you, man.
So what the hell?
I feel like your boy Brisc left you high and dry on this one. I assumed that you'd be the first call.
Well, he's bullshit. I mean, you know this. The one time he had me on the show and tried to let me be the partner on the show, it didn't go well because he kept trying to boss me around, so I had to kick him off.
These politicians, man, you can't trust these politicians. You know,
not at all. Not as far as you can throw them. You know, and Brisc is a big dude. He's heavy. I mean, you've seen him. He's a little wide.
That's true. He's got some girth.
Not everybody is as svelte as me. I'm just saying. But
Frank, tell me about the front lines, man. What's the situation like? What are you seeing out there?
Well, before I get to the front lines of the propaganda war, because I really have a lot of very strong opinions about this, I would like to say I'm glad that you are here, Mark, to add a little bit of gravitas to this dumpster fire of a show. I mean, Brisc has the balls to say, like, fire is a dumpster. No. He's a dumpster fire. So finally, there's somebody on the show. So ever since Mittens left, there's finally somebody on the show who's not a pussy. Thank God. So thank you for being here, Mark. I just wanted to tell you this. Now,
I appreciate that, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome. Now, here we go. Where is the browser thing? Let me shut. I have never seen a sadder or more pathetic attempt at propaganda than I have seen from the FI.RE people in the last week. Now, I have to give out a bit of an award here. The dude we're going to talk about, this is Mossy 8. Mossy. Where is this? There it is, right? You can see it you can see it on the screen here. Mossy. Right?
I think it's Mose. I think it's Mose.
Mossy. Whatever the fuck. I don't care. He's really bad at this, but I have to give him credit for his willingness to put out a quantity of really shitty bad memes, that most of which are not at all funny, but he keeps putting them out all the time. So, I mean, look at this. We've got the fucking. Look at this guy. We got this
Ancient Aliens guy,
dumbass dude from the Ancient Aliens guy. He doesn't even do the meme right. It's supposed to be, I'm not saying we're going to kill all the small alliances, but we're going to kill all the small alliances or something like that. That's the meme. Fucks it up. Okay, let's go on to the next one. Then he goes up and uses first of all, he does a World War II reference. What the fuck is that? And then you got, what is this bullshit? What is this? What?
Yeah.
These guys are tiny? Are you kidding me? XIX is tiny? They got 5,000 members. I mean, Severance has a bunch. Razor, they found Razor. Look, this is driving me nuts. What is this shit?
Well, look here, Frank, he's very clearly putting words in the mouth of Horde and Imperium too, which also to say this is Imperium is kind of a stretch. But either way, putting words in their mouth too. Very clearly, this is not about protecting small alliances. I don't know anybody who's claiming that either. It's an odd thing to say.
Like what the fuck even is this? What is this? What is this? God, I don't even know what this is. Look at this. This is this what the hell is this? What is this? What is this? Look.
Oh,
all right. Man. So this one I thought was cute because, you know, of course, you can't not have a damn Starship Troopers reference. That's not even, you can't even see it on the screen. Let me scroll down. You gotta have a Starship Troopers reference. There it is. That's good.
That was okay.
But it's like, that's the one you went with, not the would you like to know more? Because that's the one I expected you to use because you're unoriginal.
Or
then we got
doing my
Dead
part.
Jump Bridge. That's sorry, by Jump Bridge. This thing, I don't even know what the hell this is. There's too many of these weird, like, look at the, all right.
That one's bad.
Okay.
That one's the worst.
Okay.
I hate that one so much. The one with the little kid laying on the ground. It's nothing. It's
that
nothing.
Doesn't make any sense.
It's nothing. It's like, oh, they're little kids. Okay, that's it. That's the joke.
Now, this one. Now, I have to remind you people. I had a long discussion the last time we fought these sons of bitches. This fucking Moonfire group that ripped off in its logo. Look at this shit. Look at their freaking logo. Look at it. That is in its logo. You stole our logo. You bastards. How dare you?
How dare you?
That's what I was trying to push.
How dare you?
I can't believe this. And they're still doing it.
Oh, man.
Anyway, so we go up here. You got, this is the worst of the frickin', what the hell even movie was this? I can't even remember. The Minions thing with, like, this too much text. Why are you doing this? I'm so angry.
Man.
There's more, all this fucking anime shit. Stop it. Just stop it. It's not okay. I don't even, the bees kissing, what the fuck does this even mean? What the hell does this mean? What is this shit? I can't, the freaking Padme thing, this doesn't even make any sense.
Hang on, stop.
What is it? You have to work in Avengers 1 in, or Thor 1 in. When has anybody called Gobbins old? He's not old. What the hell is wrong with you?
Is he even older than me?
Come on, stop, just stop it, stop it, stop it, stop. What, again? I didn't even know Fire had a logo. I guess that's their new logo thing, but it's kind of stupid.
Logo?
What? Yeah, I guess they have a logo now. I didn't even know that. I should have put that, had to put that on a fucking Salt Bay meme. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Oh my God, another fucking stupid Star Wars one. I don't even know. And then they're trying to argue that FI.RE members don't pay moon taxes to the coalition. No, you pay rent. You fucking renters. Now, I will say there was one good meme that came out of this entire thing. The only good propaganda that came out of this whole FI.RE thing was this. The FI.RE Co. macaroni art. This right here.
Yes!
This is what I'm talking about.
Oh.
This is the greatest piece of propaganda that has come out of this war.
It's so good. Thank God. I mean, really.
And I mean, perfect. Yes, this also too is kind of shitty, but it's the best one. And it just kind of mocks the crap out of all of this. So I would like to thank Biggie Smiles for putting together
the best
this
piece.
penny propaganda for us, because that's how much it cost. It's also what it's made from. And I'm very pleased with this. Now, okay. Brisc keeps telling me that there's a good chance that, this war is going to be over in like a day. And I'm going to wonder what's going to happen to Moss 8 and all those guys who've been talking about all this stuff about, oh, we're never going to stop fighting. We're going to keep going forever. When they run again away, brave Sir Constantine ran away again. This is what he does. What are they going to do? I don't know. It's going to be an interesting time.
I've heard Shadowflight's recruiting. If they, like I said, if they want to move to Wormhole, there
you go. They could be wormholers.
Yeah, go to Shadowflight.
There you go. All right, Mark, talk to the crowd. I'm out of here. I'm going to go get Brisc.
Okay.
Thank you guys for joining me and letting me hang out on the show. I'm looking forward to seeing you do great things with this show, because God knows Brisc just ran it into the ground. And I'll see you guys soon.
Mark. Fuck, it's just me. Okay. Okay. Oh fuck. This is a lot of responsibility. Okay. I'm gonna read comments. Let's see here. Most 8 of you watching Operation Darkshine Sunglasses is recruiting. Shine's hit on me the other day on Reddit. I'm kind of into it. He said I could snuggle up in his bed. I'm gonna take him up on that. Shines, if you're in Iceland, like in a week and a half, let's see. I'd fucking love to see Fire go to low sec and get bullied by Snuffed. That would be total memes. Snuffed absolutely bullying basically anyone in low sec right now. Love that for them. Let's see here. Everyone's comparing me to Brisc. That's horrifying. I feel so scared about that. Let's see. I missed a lot of this. Who is Mark?
You don't need to be scared about that. I'm back.
Oh God,
you're good. You made it. You made it a whole 3 seconds without me. It's okay. You'll get better at this when
you snuck up on me.
When you've been on the show quite a bit more. Listen, I am very pleased. I want to thank you guys all for showing up today. It's been fun. Mark is going to be a great co-host. And for those of you who don't know him, and I have to say we were a little bit remiss, I think, in the beginning of the show in really introducing Mark to you. Because
that's true. We did make a lot of assumptions.
We just assume that you all know who he is. So I'll talk a little bit about him, and then we'll sign off here for the week. But Mark is the wormholer CSM. He got elected this year. He ran last year, his first time on the CSM. He is the CEO of Turbo Feeder Glory, which is part of the Holy Roman Empire, which is you're Holy Roman Empire CEO, and that's part of Turbo Feeder Glory. Sorry.
Nailed it. First try.
He is a longtime EVE player, and he's been inside this community for a while. And he's one of the younger players in the game. He started this game when he was a teenager. And unlike the old meta show with me and Mittens, where we were both boomers who, while Mittens looked like he was 10 years old, was really just a couple months younger than me. Mark is old enough to be my son, which is kind of frightening. Well, maybe.
How old are you?
You're not 30 yet, are you?
I'm 31.
Are you 30? All right, so he's 31. So he's not old enough to be my son, but I'm 45. He's 31.
Thank you.
He doesn't have the gray yet.
Not yet.
We're all we are Gen Xers solidly, although you're probably closer to a millennial, I would think.
I am a millennial. Yeah. 1991. Yeah.
All right. There you go. So 1991. He was born the year I graduated from 8th grade. So there we go. I was getting ready to start high school.
It was a good year.
Little Marky Mark was coming out. Yes, 91 was not a bad year. It was not a bad year. So Mark is going to be a welcome addition to the show. We're going to start working in more of the things that he cares about. We're going to have wormhole fights. We're going to have a couple new segments that we're going to talk about things that are going on in other areas of New Eden. The show, Meta Show, has typically been about the nullsec meta, but these days I think you all want to hear more than just about nullsec. You want to hear about wormholes. You want to hear about what's happening in the rest of the game. So we're going to do our best to provide a bigger overview of everything else that's going on. And now it's not just the Imperium hour. You've got one Imperium member, and then you have somebody who's completely non-aligned. So we can get different points of view from outside of our little group, which I think is welcome. And I think you guys are all going to appreciate it. So I'm looking forward to this 4th season of the Meta Show since we rebooted. when I took over the co-hosting spot from Big Red Boat. And now we have Mark sliding into my old slot. I am sliding into Mittens' shoes. I don't know how well that's going to work because I am not Mittens in any sense of the word. He was doing this long before I was even an Eve person, and I learned a lot from him. I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing him back in some kind of a capacity on the show at some point in the future. He dipped his toe back into the Eve community last night on Rampage. If you did not have a chance to go watch that, I'd say go check it out. It's a very interesting conversation. Not a lot of Eve talk, but just a lot of fun talk with a bunch of friends together hanging out. So, Mark, I'm going to let you get the last words in here for the end of the show, and then we're going to get out of here for this week.
Well, thank you so much, Brisc. Once again, everybody, I appreciate your kindness, your generosity, your willingness to accept me, a very small and humble wormholer, by the way, into this community. I hope we can give you guys the product, put the product on that you're hoping that we're able to. We're gonna have a lot of fun. We got a lot of things planned. I got a lot of work to do now, but boy howdy, man, this is the kind of thing that I really enjoy as a part of this. As a part of the Eve, the greater Eve world, it really does feel like shows like this and others like it make this thing more than just the sum of its parts. So I appreciate it. I'm happy to be here. I hope we can have some fun. I hope it's not super cringy. I'll try the best to not wear the same shirt every week, though I can't make any promises. I've got like 3. And yeah, man, we're gonna fucking dance. It's gonna be great.
It's gonna be a good time. Going to be a good time. All right, everybody. Thank you all for joining us this week. This has been January 21st, 2023. I am Brisc Rubal alongside Mark Resurrectus. He's a wormholer, by the way.
By the way.
Thanks for watching the Meta Show, and you stay classy. New week.